One of the areas we're really trying to help you develop some capacity with is developing your research model. And Dr. Scott and I are playing around with a graphic organizer that we think may help with that process as you move through the courses. For this activity this week, we want you to use this template to begin to design your research model. And you may have already done some of this already with Dr. Scott, and if you have, that's great. Let's just continue on with the work you're doing. You're going to do two things as far as what you're going to submit this week. One is a completed table with these areas completed, and then you're going to translate this into an outline. And what I mean by an outline is just the organization of sections that you plan to use or you think you may use at this point in your study process for Chapter 2. Remember, Chapter 2 is a literature review, and it's going to represent the body of research all the way through to the elements you're going to use for your study design or variables that you may use. So let's talk about each one of these areas so we understand. And I've given a brief definition or I've given examples of what we're talking about that. So we talk a lot about the theory. There's always a overarching theory or concept behind the direction you're going. In this example, if I've provided an example here. So if the problem addressed deals with underrepresentation of a specific ethnicity in the teaching profession, a possible theory might be social identity theory, or growth or fixed mindset. The theoretical framework is mindset theory. You break it down just a little farther and say, okay, well, what are the components of a particular theory? These are the basic tenets or areas. For example, in mindset theory, that might be the two big areas, of course, are fixed and growth mindset. Then we move to outcomes. So when you think about, okay, if we have fixed and growth mindset, well, you really asking the outcomes are, okay, well, why is that important? Well, there's going to be some research or some outcomes that indicate, okay, if you have a growth mindset, here are the general outcomes based on the theory and all the research behind that. And the fixed mindset, what are the issues related to that? But then when you get a little more specific to your study, I mean, these are what you call these secondary outcomes. So the body of research on these outcomes in relation to, if we're using mindset, for example, teaching and learning. And then what will be the data, the source, the variables that you're going to use to test whatever it is that is reflective of your research questions up here. So complete these elements as you go. And again, I provide an example for you of a student that I just worked with recently, and that'll kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. And then complete the outline, and it should represent to some extent your work up here. This is not a writing assignment per se. This is a critical thinking assignment. And what I hope to be able to do is give you some really good critical feedback that'll help you continue to refine your study idea.